Well, it is no surprise on this Veterans Day that a group of patriotic Americans gathered today at Battleship Memorial Park.
But what you're about to see may be surprising to some of you, for the veterans honored at Battleship Park today have been almost forgotten. Until now, they are the subject of a very special Here's Darwin.
There is a bond felt among soldiers. It's not something they discuss. They don't have to. It's simply understood. But today, in front of a quiet crowd at Battleship Park, U.S. Army and Vietnam veteran Wade Franks did talk about that bond, a bond that remains to this day.
When little Joe and I were not in the field, we were always together. We were always together. In everything I did in Vietnam, little Joe was always with me. No matter where I went, he was with me.
Emotion shared by those who gathered this Veterans Day to remember their fellow brothers in arms. But the soldiers honored today, they weren't from any particular conflict or war. They weren't men, and they weren't women. These soldiers were dogs.
But he always had me in his mind, in protecting me. And in protecting me, everybody else behind me was protected. So
Wade Franks is talking about a scout dog named Little Joe, his constant companion during his stay in Vietnam's battleground of A Chaux Valley. They were close, real close, until that fateful day, February 22nd, 1970. As Wade's combat patrol made its way up a steep hill toward waiting North Vietnamese soldiers, Little Joe was leading the way.
And the last thing that I remember was he alerted, and the alert was so strong, I just went face down.
On my way down, I was able to see the muzzle flashes out the jungle. And I couldn't look up. And I couldn't move. And I knew something bad had happened to my dog.
Wade's worst fears would soon be realized. His beloved Little Joe had been killed, but the soldiers were saved. Today, a world and 38 years away, the War Dog Memorial Task Force unveils this monument, a tribute to all canines who have served our country, with special mention of 7 other dogs and their handlers in Alabama who did not come back. And leading them all is Little Joe.
You see, I really loved him. And I wondered if anybody would ever know what he did.
At Battleship Park, here's Darwin, NBC 15 News.
Well, Frank says the Army used to euthanize war dogs when they no longer could serve. That is no longer the case.
Hey, most of the dogs are adopted, often by their handlers. And one thing you can say about dogs is that they are loyal, very loyal.
Certainly are, to the death, yeah.